A notorious figure in the Lucchese crime family, Paul Vario's life is a story like no other. His involvement in labor racketeering, a sinister world where the underworld collides with labor unions and industries, is a jaw-dropping saga of power, manipulation, and corruption. How did this seemingly ordinary man ascend to such heights of infamy within the criminal hierarchy? What were the insane and true details of his relentless control over labor unions? Well, my friends, join me today and let's find out. His early life was a reflection of the gritty streets of New York in the early 20th century. Born in 1914, he grew up in an environment where organized crime was deeply ingrained in the fabric of society. Poverty and limited opportunities surrounded him, making the allure of the underworld difficult to resist. Vario's involvement in organized crime began as a young man, drawn into a life of illicit activities, petty crimes, and affiliations with local criminal elements. However, it was in the Lucchese crime family that he found his true calling. With a shrewd mind and an unyielding ambition, Vario steadily climbed the ranks, earning the trust and respect of his superiors. Eventually, he established himself in a high-ranking position that afforded him considerable power and influence within the family. The political and social environment of the time, characterized by economic hardship, prohibition, and a complex web of corruption, provided fertile ground for organized crime to thrive. Vario's rise mirrored the era's lawlessness, where figures like him held sway over entire industries, exploiting the vulnerabilities of a society grappling with economic instability and political intrigue. His ascent in this tumultuous backdrop underscores the audacious and treacherous path he walked within the criminal underworld. Organized crime families, particularly those entrenched in New York City, have a long and notorious history of involvement in labor unions. This unholy alliance between the mafia and the unions was a potent cocktail of corruption and control that had far-reaching implications. At its core, this collaboration allowed crime families to infiltrate, manipulate, and exploit the labor movement for financial gain and power. The methodologies employed by these crime families to maintain control over labor unions were multifaceted and often brutal. Intimidation tactics were commonplace, with union leaders and members facing threats to their personal safety and job security. Those who resisted were met with violence, which included beatings, bombings, and even assassination attempts. Bribery was another effective tool, with mobsters lining the pockets of union officials and labor leaders in exchange for loyalty and cooperation. Extortion? Oh yeah, that was prevalent as well, with the mafia leveraging compromising information or damaging secrets to exert influence over union decision-makers. The industries targeted by Paul Vario and the Lucchese family were varied, reflecting their adaptability and ruthlessness. Construction unions, for instance, were prime targets due to the lucrative contracts and the potential for skimming profits. Trucking unions offered control over the transportation of goods, giving the mafia a stronghold on the flow of essential commodities. Additionally, the garment industry and the bustling world of New York waterfront were also subjected to mafia manipulation, ensuring their grip on vital sectors of the economy. Through these illicit means, Vario and the Lucchese family amassed wealth and power, perpetrating a sinister web of corruption that cast a long shadow over the labor unions and industries they exploited. Paul Vario's mastery of labor racketeering was marked by a combination of cunning strategies, persuasive charisma, and ruthless tactics. His ability to exert control over labor unions was nothing short of extraordinary, and his methods left an indelible mark on the criminal underworld. One of Vario's primary tools was his extensive network of connections. He leveraged his affiliations within the Lucchese crime family to forge alliances with other influential figures, both inside and outside the labor unions. These connections not only provided him with valuable information, but also served as a source of protection. Union leaders and members who opposed him often found themselves isolated and vulnerable to retribution. Vario's charisma was another crucial element of his success. He possessed an uncanny ability to charm and manipulate individuals, winning their trust and loyalty. This charm extended beyond the criminal world and often allowed him to infiltrate legitimate organizations, making himself into a formidable force within labor unions. He could convince union leaders to bend to his will, ensuring that his interests were prioritized. Fear was perhaps Vario's most potent weapon. He didn't hesitate to resort to intimidation, violence, and threats to maintain control. Those who dared to defy him or expose his criminal activities faced dire consequences. In many instances, he made examples of those who crossed him, sending a chilling message to anyone considering resistance. Case studies of significant moments in Vario's labor racketeering operations reveal the extent of his influence and the devastation left in his wake. For example, during the construction boom of post-World War II America, Vario manipulated construction unions to secure lucrative contracts for the Lucchese family. His control over these unions allowed him to dictate the terms of employment, ensuring a steady stream of income through extortion and kickbacks. Personal accounts from individuals who were directly affected by Vario's activities provide a chilling glimpse into the real-world consequences of his tactics. Many workers and union members lived in constant fear, knowing that crossing Vario could result in job loss, physical harm, or even death. These accounts highlight the human toll of labor racketeering and the iron grip that Paul Vario maintained over his domain. First and foremost, the impact of the unions and industries involved was devastating. Financial troubles plagued the affected sectors as Vario and the Lucchese family siphoned off profits through extortion, embezzlement, and kickbacks. This drained resources that could have been used to improve working conditions, secure fair wages, and protect worker rights. Labor unions, which were originally established to advocate for the welfare of workers, became corrupt vessels that prioritized the interests of organized crime over those of the labor force. Worker rights and safety were also severely compromised. With Vario's influence looming over labor unions, workers found it increasingly difficult to voice their concerns or demand fair treatment. Safety regulations were often overlooked or completely ignored, resulting in hazardous working conditions that put lives at risk. The labor movement, which has fought tirelessly for worker protections, suffered a significant setback as Vario's actions eroded those hard-fought gains. In terms of legal repercussions, Paul Vario faced multiple arrests and trials during his criminal career. However, he was known for his ability to evade convictions or receive lenient sentences, thanks to his powerful connections and the fear he instilled in witnesses and jurors alike. While he was occasionally brought to justice for various crimes, including extortion, conspiracy, and racketeering, he often managed to escape the most severe consequences of his actions. This further demonstrated the extent of his influence and the challenges law enforcement faced in dismantling his criminal empire. The broader implications of Vario's actions extend beyond his personal fate. His exploits, along with those of other organized crime figures, brought increased scrutiny to the mafia and its involvement in labor racketeering. Law enforcement agencies and government bodies intensified their efforts to combat organized crime's influence over unions, leading to high-profile investigations and prosecutions. This crackdown ultimately weakened the grip of the mafia on labor unions and industries, paving the way for reforms and the restoration of worker rights. Vario's audacious rise to dominance, his iron grip over labor unions, and the far-reaching consequences of his actions are a testament to the depths to which organized crime can sink. If you liked this video, make sure to drop a like and don't forget to comment down below which criminal activities you'd like us to cover next. And as always, my friends, thank you very much for choosing to spend your time with us today. We'll see you in our next video.